Bạn đã bao giờ nghe nói rằng chỉ mất 21 ngày để hình thành một thói quen mới chưa? Đó là một ý tưởng rất hấp dẫn, được lặp đi lặp lại ở khắp mọi nơi. Lời hứa rất đơn giản, kiên trì làm một việc gì đó trong 3 tuần và nó sẽ trở nên tự động. Nhưng khi ngày thứ 22 đến và thói quen mới của bạn vẫn cảm thấy gượng ép, rất dễ cảm thấy như mình đã thất bại. Sự thật là gì? Quy tắc 21 ngày chỉ là một lời đồn. Thay đổi thực sự cần nhiều thời gian hơn, và hiểu được lý do tại sao là bước đầu tiên để xây dựng những thói quen bền vững.
So why the origin of the widely circulated 21-day rule for habit formation is quite fascinating. A story rooted in observation rather than rigorous scientific testing. It's a concept that has permeated self-help circles and motivational speeches for decades, often presented as a simple, actionable piece of advice. But where did this idea actually come from? Let's delve into the history and trace the path of this persistent idea. The genesis of this notion can be traced back to the work of Dr. Maxwell Maltz, a plastic surgeon practicing in the 1950s. Dr. Maltz wasn't a psychologist or a behavioral scientist by training, but his keen observations in his practice led him to an interesting conclusion about how people adapt to change. He noticed a recurring pattern among his patients. It generally took them about 21 days to adjust to the physical changes resulting from surgery. This wasn't a strict, unwavering rule, but rather a general time frame he observed repeatedly. Patients needed time to get used to their new appearance and incorporate it into their self-image. Whether it was the reshaping of a nose, a significant alteration to their facial structure, or even something as profound as adapting to the loss of a limb, patients seemed to consistently require around 3 weeks to psychologically integrate these changes. This period wasn't just about physical healing, it was about mental and emotional adaptation as well. Dr. Maltz documented these observations in his 1960 book, Psycho-Cybernetics. This book wasn't solely focused on the 21-day rule, but rather on the broader concept of self-image and how it influences our behavior and success. He explored how individuals could improve their self-esteem and achieve their goals by consciously shaping their mental blueprint. Within its pages, he wrote that it requires a minimum of about 21 days for an old mental image to dissolve and a new one to crystallize. He wasn't prescribing a magic formula for habit formation, but rather highlighting the time it takes for our self-perception to shift. It's crucial to remember that this was primarily an observation based on his clinical experience, and not a universally applicable law of human behavior established through rigorous scientific experimentation. Dr. Maltz himself never intended for it to be interpreted as such. Over time, however, the nuances of Maltz's observation were gradually lost in translation, and the idea morphed into the much more rigid and widely accepted notion that it takes 21 days to form any habit. This simplified version gained traction, spreading like wildfire through popular culture. The simplicity of the statement is undoubtedly what contributed to its widespread appeal. It offered a seemingly easy-to-follow roadmap for personal change. But it's important to recognize that this catchy phrase has never been substantiated as a hard scientific fact. It's more of a rule of thumb than a definitive principle. So, to truly understand the complexities of habit formation, we need to move beyond this popular myth and delve into the actual research that explores how habits are formed, broken, and sustained. We need to look at the science behind behavior change.
Vậy mà, thực sự mất bao lâu để hình thành một thói quen? Khoa học cho chúng ta một câu trả lời tốt hơn. Một nghiên cứu của Philippa Lally tại Đại học College London đã theo dõi những người cố gắng xây dựng thói quen mới. Trung bình, phải mất 66 ngày để một hành vi trở nên tự động, hơn 3 lần so với lời đồn. Nhưng phạm vi rất lớn, một số hình thành thói quen trong 18 ngày, những người khác mất đến 254 ngày. Điều quan trọng cần nhớ, không có con số thần kỳ nào cả. Việc hình thành thói quen là cá nhân và phụ thuộc vào hành vi và từng người. 66 ngày là một tiêu chuẩn thực tế hơn, nhưng nó chỉ là mức trung bình. Nghĩ theo tháng, không phải tuần giúp đặt ra những kỳ vọng tốt hơn và xây dựng sự kiên cường. Thói quen trở nên tự động thông qua sự lặp lại, không phải bằng cách đạt được một thời hạn. Bỏ lỡ một ngày không làm hỏng tiến trình của bạn, điều quan trọng là quay lại đúng hướng. Mục tiêu không phải là sự hoàn hảo, mà là sự kiên trì. Thay vì hỏi, việc này sẽ mất bao lâu? Hãy hỏi, làm thế nào để tôi có thể kiên trì làm điều này? Tập trung vào việc làm cho hành vi trở nên rõ ràng, dễ dàng và thỏa mãn, và để thời gian tự lo liễu. Không phải tất cả các thói quen đều giống nhau, một số khó xây dựng hơn nhiều so với những thói quen khác. Những thói quen đơn giản như uống nước sau bữa sáng có thể trở nên tự động nhanh chóng. Những thói quen phức tạp như chạy bộ hàng ngày mất nhiều thời gian hơn do đòi hỏi nhiều nỗ lực và có nhiều trở ngại hơn. Càng nhiều khó khăn và cam kết cần thiết, thời gian càng lâu. Đó là lý do tại sao bắt đầu từ những việc nhỏ lại hiệu quả đến vậy. Chia những thói quen lớn thành những hành động nhỏ, đọc một trang sách, đi giày tập thể dục, viết một câu. Những chiến thắng nhỏ này tạo đà và giúp việc kiên trì dễ dàng hơn. Khi thói quen nhỏ trở nên tự động, bạn có thể dần dần tăng thử thách. Thời gian hình thành thói quen của bạn không chỉ do bản thân thói quen quyết định. Môi trường, bạn bè, tính cách và động lực của bạn đều đóng một vai trò. Nếu môi trường xung quanh giúp bạn dễ dàng đưa ra những lựa chọn tốt, thói quen sẽ hình thành nhanh hơn. Động lực bên trong, làm điều gì đó vì nó phù hợp với con người bạn, giúp thói quen bền vững. Những thói quen cũ cũng giúp ích, kết hợp một thói quen mới với một thói quen đã có sẵn rất hiệu quả. Nhưng phá bỏ một thói quen cũ đã ăn sâu còn mất nhiều thời gian hơn. Hiểu được hoàn cảnh độc đáo của bạn giúp bạn đặt ra những mục tiêu và chiến lược thực tế.
In the pursuit of building better habits, we often find ourselves battling against the unpredictable nature of time. Schedules can be unreliable, and life often throws unexpected curveballs our way. Relying solely on willpower and rigid timelines can set us up for disappointment. Instead of fighting against the current, let's shift our focus to something more dependable. A proven framework. A framework provides a structure, a system, that guides us toward our goals, regardless of the daily chaos. It's about creating a reliable foundation for habit formation. This framework is built upon the bedrock of the 4 laws of behavior change. These laws aren't just abstract concepts, they are practical guidelines that can be applied to any habit you wish to cultivate. They offer a clear roadmap for transforming your behaviors. The first law, make it obvious. This means designing your environment to prominently display cues that trigger your desired habits. Think of it as setting the stage for success. By creating a visually supportive environment, you're subtly prompting yourself to take action. A clean workspace, for example, can be a powerful cue for focused work. A book placed on your pillow can remind you to read before bed. The key is to make the cues for good habits as visible and accessible as possible. The second law, make it attractive. This involves associating your desired habit with something you already enjoy. It's about making the habit more appealing and desirable. This could mean pairing your workout with your favorite podcast, or enjoying a healthy smoothie after your morning meditation. By linking the new habit to something pleasurable, you increase your motivation to stick with it. Another powerful strategy is to join a group or community where your desired behavior is the norm. When you surround yourself with people who are already practicing the habit you want to adopt, it becomes easier and more natural to follow suit. Social support and accountability can be incredibly motivating. Seeing others succeed can inspire you to keep going, even when you face challenges. The third law, make it easy. This is all about reducing friction and making it as effortless as possible to get started. Break down your habit into smaller, more manageable steps. Instead of aiming for an hour-long workout, start with just 10 minutes. Instead of writing a whole chapter, commit to writing just 1 paragraph. The key is to make the initial steps so easy that you can't say no. The fourth law, make it satisfying. This involves finding ways to reward yourself immediately after completing the habit. The more immediate the reward, the stronger the association between the habit and the positive feeling. This could be as simple as savoring a cup of tea after finishing a task, or tracking your progress in a journal. The reward doesn't have to be extravagant. It just needs to be something that you find enjoyable and motivating. By focusing on these 4 laws, you shift your focus from relying on sheer willpower to implementing a strategic system. It's about designing your environment and your habits in a way that makes success more likely. The easier and more rewarding you make the process, the more likely your habits are to become sustainable and lead to lasting change. Remember, the goal is to optimize for consistency and persistence, not for perfection. Focus on making steady progress, 1 small step at a time, and you'll be well on your way to building the habits you desire. Phần thường ngay lập tức rất quan trọng. They act as powerful motivators, especially when we're trying to establish new habits or break old ones. Think of it as a little pat on the back from your brain, a signal that says, hey, this is good, let's do it again. These immediate rewards don't have to be extravagant. In fact, the simpler, the better. The key is that they're directly linked to the action you want to reinforce. Bono kuchungta khao su tuaman tukti. It's wired to seek pleasure and avoid pain, and this inherent drive plays a significant role in shaping our behaviors. When we experience immediate satisfaction, our brains release dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with pleasure and reward. This dopamine rush reinforces the behavior, making us more likely to repeat it in the future. This is why instant gratification can be so addictive, but it can also be harnessed for good. Understanding this neurological process is crucial for designing effective strategies for lasting change. We can leverage our brain's natural reward system to build positive habits and break free from negative ones. Đối với nhiều thói quen tốt, phan thường bị trì hoãn, often requiring consistent effort and patience before we see tangible results. Think about exercising regularly, eating healthy, or learning a new skill. These activities offer long-term benefits, such as improved health, increased energy, and enhanced cognitive function. However, the rewards are not immediate, which can make it challenging to stay motivated in the short term. This is where the concept of immediate rewards becomes particularly important. We need to find ways to bridge the gap between the action and the ultimate outcome by incorporating small, immediate gratifications along the way. Vì vậy, hãy tạo ra những phần thưởng nhỏ, thực thi. These rewards can be anything that you find enjoyable and motivating, such as treating yourself to a healthy snack after a workout, watching an episode of your favorite show after completing a task, or simply taking a few minutes to relax and unwind. The key is to make these rewards contingent upon completing the desired behavior. This creates a positive feedback loop that reinforces the habit and makes it more likely that you'll stick with it over time. Don't underestimate the power of these small celebrations. They can make a big difference in your ability to achieve your goals. Theo doi thói quen là một công cụ mạnh mẽ, a simple yet effective way to monitor your progress and stay accountable. By tracking your habits, you can gain valuable insights into your behavior patterns, identify areas where you're struggling, and celebrate your successes. There are many different ways to track your habits, from using a simple pen and paper journal to utilizing sophisticated habit tracking apps. The best method is the one that you find most convenient and enjoyable to use. Dendo tiendo kaban mang lai kamjak tang tu, vazucha ban kadam look. Seeing your progress, visually represented, can be incredibly motivating, especially when you're feeling discouraged or tempted to give up. Each time you check off a task or mark an achievement, you're reinforcing the positive association with the habit and strengthening your commitment to your goals. This sense of accomplishment can also help to boost your self-esteem and confidence, making you more likely to continue pursuing your goals. Moi hendong lamut fubo chakon ngui bam mun chotang. Every choice you make, every action you take, is a vote for the kind of person you aspire to be. This perspective can be incredibly empowering, as it reminds you that you have the power to shape your own identity through your daily habits. Are you voting for the healthy, disciplined, and successful version of yourself? Or are you voting for the unhealthy, undisciplined, and unfulfilled version? The choice is yours, and it's made with every decision you make. Viet Kin Tri, Du Chi Trung Toi Jan Ngan, Kung Ko Kan Ngui Ban Mun Tro Tan. Even small acts of persistence, consistently repeated over time, can have a profound impact on your character and identity. It's not about grand gestures or dramatic transformations. It's about showing up every day and making a conscious effort to align your actions with your values and goals. Each time you persevere, you're reinforcing the belief that you are capable of achieving your goals and becoming the person you want to be. Tap Trung Vào Quatrain, Không Phải Dik Den. Shift your focus from the outcome to the process itself. Instead of obsessing over the end result, concentrate on enjoying the journey and making consistent progress, one step at a time. When you focus on the process, you're more likely to stay engaged and motivated, even when you encounter challenges or setbacks. You'll also be more likely to learn and grow along the way, developing valuable skills and insights that will serve you well in the long run. Mục tiêu không chỉ là thực hiện một thói quen, mà là trở thành kiểu người sống nó một cách tự nhiên. The ultimate goal is not just to perform a habit, but to embody it to integrate it into your identity so seamlessly that it becomes a natural and effortless part of your daily life. When a habit becomes part of who you are, it no longer feels like a chore or a burden. It becomes an expression of your authentic self. This is when true and lasting change occurs. Su Kiên Tri và Ban Sak Quan Trung Hon But Ki Lik Tring Now. While schedules and routines can be helpful tools, they are ultimately secondary to persistence and identity. You can have the most perfectly crafted schedule in the world, but if you lack the persistence to stick with it, or the belief that you are capable of achieving your goals, you're unlikely to succeed. Focus on cultivating a strong sense of self-efficacy and an unwavering commitment to your values, and the rest will fall into place. Hãy chấp nhận sự cải thiện liên tục, không phải những giải pháp nhanh chóng. Embrace the concept of continuous improvement, recognizing that progress is often gradual and incremental. Avoid the temptation to seek quick fixes or shortcuts, as these rarely lead to lasting change. Instead, focus on making small, consistent improvements over time, and trust that these efforts will compound into significant results. Remember, it's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Quy tắc 21 ngày là một lời đồn khiến chúng ta thất vọng. Khoa học cho thấy cái việc hình thành thói quen mất nhiều thời gian hơn và khác nhau đối với mọi người. Bí mật thực sự là sự kiên trì, không phải đem ngày. Tập trung vào việc kiên trì, xây dựng hệ thống và làm cho thói quen dễ dàng và bổ ích. Môi trường, tư duy và bản sắc của bạn định hình thành công của bạn. Bỏ lỡ một ngày không phải là thất bại, việc quay lại đúng hướng mới là điều quan trọng. Mục tiêu là trở thành kiểu người, mà thói quen trở thành bản năng thứ hai. Đó là một cái hành trình suốt đời, và phần thưởng của nó kéo dài vượt xa bất kỳ thời hạn nào.